Hi, my name is RJ Hassey, and today I'll be answering Chapter 3-4 questions. First is job order costing. Job order costing is a system for assigning manufacturing costs to an individual product or batches of products. Generally, the job order costing system is used only when the products manufactured are sufficiently different from each other. An example of an industry where job order costing is used is the building construction industry, since each building is unique. The manufacturers of custom equipment or custom cabinetry are also examples of companies that will keep track of production costs by item or job. Next is process costing, which is an accounting methodology that traces and accumulates direct cost and allocates indirect cost of a manufacturing process. Costs are assigned to products usually in a large batch, which might include an entire month's production. Examples of this industry where the type of production occurs include oil refinery, food production, and chemical processing. For example, how do you determine the precise cost required to create one Lay's chip when you make thousands of bags a day? The cost of accounting method used for this scenario is process costing. Now that we know what each one of these are, now we got to figure out what the difference is between the two. First is uniqueness of product. Job costing is used for unique products, and process costing is used for standardized products. Next is size of job. Job costing is usually for small production runs, and the process costing is used for large production runs. Next is record keeping. Much more record keeping is required for job costing, since time and materials must be charged to specific jobs. Process costing aggregates costs and so requires less record keeping. Next is customer billing. Job costing is more likely to be used for billings to customers since it details the exact cost consumed by products commissioned by customers. Now I need to give a detailed business example of when I would use job order costing and when I would use process costing. Now for a more in-depth example. A situation where I would personally use job order costing is if I started a painting business. I would get contracted out by house to paint whatever they needed to be painted. The paint color, the time needed to finish, and what is actually getting painted would vary from house to house. I wouldn't want to buy paint in extreme bulk because I wouldn't know if I would use all of that one color. I would calculate expenses and profit after each job and would have separate contracts for each house. An example of process costing that comes to mind would be Skittles. The company of Skittles is not going to cost out each Skittle or even each bag. They are going to have a period of the year where they can buy supplies on bulk for 3 months or so, and then at the end of those 3 months, they can calculate how much they made compared to how much they paid for the materials and everything that went into making them. This is just one example, but you could substitute Skittles with any small item. Now we need to define activity-based costing. Activity-based costing is a costing method that identifies activities in the organization and assigns the cost of each activity with resources to all products and services according to the actual consumption by each. Basically is the method for assigning costs of products, service projects, tasks, or acquisitions based on the activities that go into them and the resources consumed by these activities. Now that we have defined activity-based costing, or ABC, now we will take a look on how it is applied to our Skittle example from earlier. With ABC, the Skittles will be allocated an enormous amount of overhead due to all the machine hours, but it demanded little overhead activity. The result will be a miscalculation of each product's true cost of the manufacturing overhead. Activity-based costing will overcome this shortcoming by assigning overhead on more than one activity running the machine. Now let's take a look at equipment equivalent units of production. Equivalent units of production is a term applied to the work in progress inventory at the end of the accounting period. It is the number of completed units of an item that a company could theoretically have produced, given the amount of direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead costs incurred during that period for the items not yet completed. We use equivalent units in process costing because the orders are usually very big. If we are only halfway done with an order, equivalent unit will help us state our profits/goods anytime throughout the process. To relate it to my Skittle example from earlier, what if we had an order from 10,000 boxes of Skittles to ship to Costco? If we stated that only 40% of the order was done, then equivalent units we can state that we have 4,000 boxes done. This helps calculate the overhead cost for the time it took to finish 4,000 boxes instead of waiting to the end of the finished order. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.